वन्दे गुरुपदद्वन्द्वम् अवाङ्मनसगोचरम् रक्तशुक्लप्रभामिश्रम् अतर्क्यं त्रैपुरम् अहः विशुद्धिज्ञानदेहाय त्रिवेदी दिव्यचक्षुषे श्रेयः प्राप्तिनिमित्ताय नमः सोमार्धधारिणे नमो यामिनीनाथरेखालङ्कृत कुन्तलाम् भवानीं भवसन्तापनिर्वापण सुधानदीम्
षोडश पत्रे कामाकर्षिणी नित्या कला इति नित्या कलान्ताः बुद्ध्याकर्षिणी अहंकाराकर्षिणी शब्दाकर्षिणी स्पर्शाकर्षिणी रूपाकर्षिणी रसाकर्षिणी गंधाकर्षिणी चित्ताकर्षिणी धैर्याकर्षिणी स्मृत्याकर्षिणी नामाकर्षिणी बीजाकर्षिणी आत्माकर्षिणी अमृताकर्षिणी शरीराकर्षिणी एताः गुप्तयोगिन्यः सर्वाशा परिपूरके चक्रे समुद्राः इत्यादि पूर्ववत् आत्मरक्षाम् उच्चार्य त्रिपुरेशीम् इष्ट्वा द्रीम् इति सर्वविद्राविणीं प्रदर्शये. Dwitiya Varna is performed in the Shodasha Dala Kamala. Immediately after the Bhupura, the next enclosure or the next Avaranam consists of a 16 petal lotus. So in that 16 petal lotus, Shodasha Patre. So here the Devatas are positioned in anti-clockwise, starting from the first Dala, which is facing the sadhaka. So when the Sri Chakra is facing the sadhaka, the first Dala, which is pointing towards the sadhaka, starting thereon, anti-clockwise, these 16 Nitya Kala Devis are positioned. Okay, so this is Vamavarta. Vamavarta means anti-clockwise. Who are these Devatas? Kamakarshini Nitya Kala iti Nitya Kalantaha. Bhagavan gives an instruction saying that when the sadhaka is naming the Devatas, he has to end the names of the Devatas with Nitya Kala Devi, Nitya Kalantaha, Nitya Devatas. These are the Shodasha Devatas, okay, who have at the end of their name the term Nitya. So when we take the example, Bhagavan has given the first example. Kamakarshini Nitya Kala Devi. Shri Padakam Pujayami Tarpayami, we have already seen that has to be added for all the Devatas across the Avaranas. So the format to be used is the name followed by Nitya Kala Devi, Nitya Kalantaha. Okay. Now he is giving the list. So the first Devata is Gaama Akarshini, one who attracts or one who is responsible for drawing the desires of the sadhaka. See, when we look into the names of these Devatas, they belong to the physical as well as the subtle body sphere of the sadhaka, the sthula sharira and the sukshma sharira aspects of the sadhaka. So first is Kama. Kama means any desire. Desire is born when there is an apurnata. For example, why would I like to own a particular object? First of all, I should not be having that particular object already with me. And I should feel that this particular object, when I possess, would complete or would give me or will serve some purpose for me, therefore giving me a pleasure. So because of this atriptata bhavana, not being satisfied, one possesses the Kama. Okay. So Kama Akarshinee is that Devata who is responsible for quelling this desire aspect of the sadhaka. So because of her anugraha, the sadhaka will not feel incomplete. He will be closer to his understanding that he is Nitya Purna. He is ever complete, because in our Atma Tattva Swarupa we are ever complete. There is nothing that needs to be added to us or added to make it more blissful. Okay, so that aspect is taken care by the Kama Akarshini Nitya Kaladevi. Okay, next is Buddhya Akarshini. Buddhi. Now, any of our interaction is first processed by our buddhi. Now, buddhi is where the viveka aspect, okay, is taken care of, where the person analyzes. That is buddhi. So, buddhya karshini devata ensures that we apply the right sense of discretion in making our choices. So Buddhya Karshini Nitya Kaladevi. Then Ahankara Karshini. See, when we speak about Buddhi, Buddhi refers to, there are two aspects generally. Actually 4 Antakaranas, but majorly 2. One is Buddhi, other is Chitta. Chittam is when it is not decided. Okay, when it is wavering to do or not to do. Buddhi is that which gives the correct direction by allowing us whatever, whether we are making the right choice or not, that is a different aspect. But to make that choice, buddhi is very, very important. Okay, so that is buddhi. Buddhi is followed by ahankara akarshini. Ahankara here refers to not the aham tattva, but this ahankara refers to the lower ego. The ego that is associated by this body-mind identity of the sadhaka. So that is what is referred to by ahankara. So ahankara akarshini. Shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. These are the 5 tanmatras. In the sense, these are the 5 aspects of the Panchabhutas, which is understood by us, and we understand it through our various sense organs. For example, the Chakshurindriya can grasp the Rupa aspect, the form aspect. The Shrotrendriya can grasp Shabda or the sound aspect. Okay. Similarly, the Granendriya can grasp the Gandha aspect. The Rasanendriya can grasp the taste. And Twagindriya can grasp the touch, Twak. So these are the 5 objects which are understood by our Indriyas. Each of these objects belong to the various Bhutas, the Panchabhutas. Okay. For example, in Akasha, there is only one Tanmatra, namely Shabda Tanmatra. In Vayu, there is Shabda Tanmatra as well as the Sparsha Tanmatra. When it comes to Agni, it has 3 Tanmatras: Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, the form. When it comes to Jala, it has 4. It has the sound aspect, it has the touch aspect, it has the form aspect, and it also has the taste aspect. And when it comes to Prithvi, it has all the 5 Tanmatras. Okay. So in detail, we can see when we are doing this Varivasya Rahasya, these Tanmatras are represented in our Panchadashi. So when you add 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1, 15, Each one represents one letter of the Panchadashakshara. Okay. So anyway, so these tanmatras are the input data that comes to a sadhaka through the respective indriyas. So each of these Nitya Kala Devis represent these tanmatras which are received by our mind or our buddhi, okay, and processed by our buddhi through the indriyas. Then comes the chitta akarshini. Chitta means mind, okay. Dhairya akarshini. Dhairya is dhriti, to hold on. Here the word dhairya is not courage. In this particular context, the term dhairya refers to holding on or catching on. Okay. So when the mind is fixated upon a particular object, that fixation is referred to by the term dhairya. Okay. So the upasana or the anugraha of dhairya karshini ensures that the mind is fixated upon the right choice. Smritya karshini. Smriti means our sense of memory, to remember what ought to be remembered and not to remember what we should not be remembering, because our mind or our brain functions in a very, very acute and a very unique manner. There are thousands of inputs that we receive through our sense organs throughout the day, and it is a blessing that we don't remember all of them. We remember only what we think is relevant. Otherwise, the mind will become completely clogged with all the data that comes into. So, smriti is that aspect of remembrance wherein we remember what has to be and let go what need not be. So, smritya karshini. Then is nama karshini. Nama means it's in the Tarka there is a name by name linga. Linga means a unique characteristic by which you can identify something. Now, generally in the world, the name is that marker or that pointer by which we are able to remember the object. Okay, even though the object is not right now in this place or in this point of time in front of us, but the mere mention of the name can bring memories to our mind. So for the memories to function, it is very important to have an association of that particular object, and the closest associate of that particular object is the name. That is why the nama and rupa are two essential things. That is why the name and the form, or the shabda and the artha, are like the two dimensions of the srishti. One cannot exist without the other. So when Kalidasa says Vagartha Samprukta in his Mangala Shloka of Raghuvamsha, the Vak and the Artha. The Vak represents the Nama and the Artha represents the Rupa. Okay. So Nama Akarshini. Next is Bija Akarshini. Here Bija is samskaras. So the latent impressions are the samskaras that are there in our subtle body. So that is Bija, because that is the seed for the samsara to move on. For example, what determines our sukha or dukkha in this janma or the other janmas that we might be taking? It is this samskara. So that is why when we divide the karma into, for the practical reason, into three: the sanchita, the prarabdha, and the agami. Okay. Even though it is when we take the vasanas or all these are not divisible like this, but for understanding we have these threefold nomenclature. Okay. Sanchita is whatever is totally accumulated. Prarabdha is that portion from the totally accumulated karma which is responsible for this particular janma, this particular birth. And agami is whatever karma that the person performs, that the jiva performs in this janma, okay, which will bear fruit later on, okay, which is ultimately going to get added to one's own sanchita. Okay, but to differentiate that what has already been happened in the previous births and what has been done in this birth, okay, which is going to be accumulated, it is named as agami. So there are three types of this karma phala. So this set of the three is what is bija or the samskaras or the vasa. So bija karshini, atma karshini. Here once again, atma refers to the conditioned jiva or the jiva and the pashubhava who has not yet realized his shivata. Okay, so atma karshini. The last is amrita karshini. Amrita karshini refers to the I-ness or the aham tattva, the shuddha aham, okay, the atma tattva that resides in us. All this is happening in this particular janma when we have taken a particular sharira. Therefore, the last one is sharira. So all these 16 Nityakala Devis represent certain elements of our sthula sharira and our sukshma sharira aspect. So the last one is the sharira karshini. Etaha Gupta Yoginyaha. So, like the previous Avarana, there is a samashti nama for all these Devatas. When we speak about Gaama, Akarshinee, Buddhya, Akarshinee, they are individual names. Collectively, they are called as Gupta Yogini. Why is it called as Gupta Yogini? Compared to the Prakata, which is the first Avarana, the second Avarana is slightly hidden. The first Avarana is basically referring to the Jagat. The second Avarana is referring to the Jiva. Okay, so compared to that, this is slightly hidden and it is inside. Okay, therefore it is Gupta. Okay, Gupta Yoginyaha. Etaha Gupta Yoginyaha. Sarvaasha Paripurake Chakre. Name of the chakra is Sarvaasha Paripuraka Chakra. Sarva Asha Paripuraka Chakra. That which fulfills all the desires. So the first Devata itself is Kama Akarshini. That is where the Kama or the Asha, etc. okay, starts off. And the Bhoga happens in this Sharira. So you can see the connectivity between the Kama, the first Devata, and the Sharira Akarshini, the last Devata. So it is all everything that we have covered through these 16 Devatas refers to the Bhoga. Like in the previous class, I said, in our Shaiva Siddhanta, we have this fourfold principle of tanu, karana, bhuvana, and bhoga. Okay, so tanu is the sharira. The others are karanas. All that we have spoken about is karanas. So, etaha gupta yoginyaha sarva asha paripurake chakre. Samudraha ityadi purvavat. So, Bhagavan has already given the samashti mantra previously. So, we will have to do the uha from the previous sutra itself. Ityadi purvavat, as described before. Ityadi purvavat. Then, Atma Raksham Ucharya. Atma Raksha mantra is I am clean out. With that, we do the Atma Raksha Nyasa. Okay, therefore, Bhagavan does not give the Uddhara of the mantra. He merely gives the name for the collective name for the three bijas. Atma Raksham Ucharya. Tripureshim Ishtva. Now, the name of the Chakreshwari for the Dwitiya Avarana is Tripureshi. So, Tripureshim Ishtva. So, we will have to do the Pujana Tarpana for the Chakreshwari also. Tripureshim Ishtva. And the specific mudra for the Dwitiya Avarana is Hreem iti Sarva Vitravini Pradarshye. The name of the mudra is Sarva Vitravini Mudra. The bija for this Sarva Vitravini Mudra is Hreem. So Hreem iti Sarva Vitravini Pradarshye. One should show the Sarva Vitravini Mudra while or accompanied by its bijakshara, namely Hreem. Okay. So this is the Dwitiya Avarana. Coming to the Tritiya Avarana. Dikpatre. Kusuma, Mekala, Madana, Madanatura, Rekha, Vegini, Ankusha, Malini, Malinihi, Ananga Purvaha, Samrishya, Dikpatre. The next Avarana is the Ashtadala Kamala, the 8-petal lotus, okay, which is the third. So in that 8-petal lotus, we have these Devatas, okay. They are Ananga Purvaha. So before the names, we will have to prefix the names with the word Ananga. So Ananga Kusuma, Ananga Mekhala, like this. So we have to prefix the term Ananga before. So Ananga Purvaha, Kusuma, Mekhala, Madana, Madanatura, like this. Okay. Now, where are these devatas exactly positioned in the Dikpatra? Dik means direction. Since there are 8 directions, okay, and by the Bhuta Sankhya, the word Dik generally refers to 8, rarely refers to 10 also. Because when we can consider the Urdhva and Adhaha also as Dik, then the Dik becomes 10. Okay. But generally when we say Dik, Dik refers to the number 8. So Dik Patre means Ashtadala Patre or Ashtadala Kamale. Now, first is Ananga Kusuma. Where is Ananga Kusuma? Try to visualize the Shri Chakra with the Bindu, okay, and focus only on the Ashtadala Padmasana. Let us forget all the other Avaranas. There is the Ashtadala Kamala, okay. So when the sadhaka is facing the chakra, the dala which is immediately behind the bindu, okay. When I say behind the bindu, bindu I am taking as a reference point. So which is immediately behind, that is the place for the first devata. So Ananga Kusuma. So Ananga Kusuma is immediately behind, right? Then next is, so imagine 8 dalas, okay. Let us name one, okay, immediately behind. Then second is Ananga Mekhala, because we have to Ananga Purvaha. So Ananga Mekhala. Ananga Mekhala is the one to the right of the sadhaka. So it is, if we are to take the direction, the Prachi or the east is immediately behind the Devata. Okay. So it is immediately behind the Devata. What happens is the second Devata will be on the southern direction. Okay, to the right hand side of the sadhaka. Next is Ananga Madana. Ananga Madana will be in front, the dala which is in front of the sadhaka. Okay, the Ananga Madana will be there. That is, it will be in the western, the dala which is facing the west. Okay, all this, when I say east, south, and west, we are referencing it and assuming that the east is the patra or the direction which is behind the devata. So that is east. Okay. So the next is the south to the right of the sadhaka. Then immediately facing the sadhaka is the west. So the third is Ananga Madana is facing the sadhaka, that is in the western petal. Ananga Madanatura. Ananga Madanatura is to the north, to the left hand side of the sadhaka. So 4 devatas are positioned that way. Okay, east, south, west, and the north. Okay, that is behind the bindu, to the right hand side of the bindu, in front of the bindu, to the left hand side of the bindu. All right. The next, Ananga Rekha. Ananga Rekha will be right next to the eastern Dala, that is southeast. Okay, between the east and the south, that particular Dala is where we have Ananga Rekha. Then Ananga Vegini. Ananga Vegini will be southwest. Okay. Then Ananga Ankusha. Ananga Ankusha will be northwest. Okay. Then Ananga Malini will be northeast. So basically, the position of the Devatas, if you start from the one which is behind the Bindu, we are skipping one Dala in the order, then again starting. So that is how the Devatas are positioned. And this Avarana, okay, the direction is clockwise. If you have seen the way that we have got, the Devatas are seated in the or positioned in the clockwise direction. Okay, even though we are skipping one position, okay, but the direction in which the puja has to be performed is in the clockwise direction. Now, it is very important that while we are learning to do the puja, we also know where these devatas are there, because many of us simply read through the puja manual. Okay, we should mentally try to picturize or imagine where these devatas are with respect to the sadhaka and with respect to the pradhana devata, that is in the bindu. So where are they? So we should know, and we should do it slowly. We should enjoy the process of the puja and not do it as a mechanical thing. See, mechanically it will happen over a period of years of doing some n number of pujas, even without even us voluntarily thinking about it. We'll automatically know where the devatas are. But till that time, we should take, or we should pause, we should imagine, okay, when I say pujayami tarpayami, I should visualize the devata seated in that particular chakra or in that particular dala, okay, and then do the pujanam and tarpana. This will slowly become a more blissful experience. The puja will become blissful experience, and we can see the results of this kind of bhavana, this kind of contemplation, when we move from the bahiryaga to the antaryaga. Otherwise, what happens is, antaryaga also many people simply do it as a mechanical process, like reading out a process. No. Antaryaga will become sthira, will become firm, only when we have perfectly grasped the bahiryaga. All right. Okay. So this is the Tritiya Varna. So Ananga Purvaha Samrishya. Etaha Gupta Tara Yoginyaha. So the Samashti Nama for this, for the Devatas of the Tritiya Varna is Gupta Tara Yogini. So Gupta Tara Yoginyaha. Why? It is still, because it is still further inside the Dwitiya Varna. Dwitiya Varna was Gupta. It is still more hidden. Therefore, it is Gupta Tara. Tara is a comparative degree suffix in Sanskrit. Okay. So Gupta Tara Yoginyaha. Sarva Sankshobhana Chakre. Sarva Sankshobhana is the name of the chakra. Sarva Sankshobhana Chakre. See, all these devatas are prefixed with the term Ananga. Ananga is a specific name for Gaama. Okay? Because when Manmatha or Kama was burned down by Shiva, when he had disturbed his penance, Rati Devi had prayed to him, and Shiva had blessed her, saying that your husband will come back to life when I and Parvati are married. So during the occasion of the marriage of Parvati with Parameshwara, Manmatha was brought back to life by Parvati. Okay, but this time he did not have a gross body like everyone else. His gross body was also something that could not be seen by others. So he got this name Ananga. Angam na vidyate yasya iti anangaha. One whose body parts are not distinctly visible is Ananga. Okay. On a psychological level, Ananga is because it is manobhava. It is born from mind. The desires are generated in mind. Okay. Body is only a way of expressing the desires. So the place of origin for desires is only mind. That is why it is Madana. Madana means it confuses the mind. It is manobhava. It is born from the mind. Okay. All these aspects, okay, speaks about the nature of desire or Gaama. So these Devatas have a common prefix of Ananga. So these Devatas have something to do with the primordial desire. When we speak about desire, there are desires at the two levels. One is the desire that we experience in our day-to-day life. I wish to have some sweet. I wish to see something. I wish to hear this music. All these are the desires that happens, okay, in our day-to-day experience. There is a desire which exists at a much more subtle and much more primordial level. That desire is what results in the identity, okay, of this Jiva with the Sharira and with the Manas, with the Prana and with the Ahankara. Generally, we tend to identify either of with the Sharira, the physical body, or the aspects of the Sukshma Sharira, okay, or the subtle body, namely the mind, the senses, the tanmatras, etc., etc. So mind projects itself to the external world through the tanmatras and the indriyas. It interacts and projects itself through the tanmatras and through the indriyas. Okay, so our identity is also with these aspects. When I say I'm very happy, I'm sad, I'm depressed, okay, all these are our identity with these aspects. Then is our identity with prana. Okay, with prana also we have a sense of identity. Okay, then finally with our ahankara we have an identity. So in the Shaiva Shastras, these collective sets is called as a Puriyashtaka. This Puriyashtaka is what is denoted by these 8 Devatas, the primordial desires or primordial identities that we tend to possess. That is why all the Devatas have the prefix Ananga, okay, which is fixed before their names. So by the anugraha of these Devatas, we will be able to get rid of our identity with these Puriyashtakas. Okay. Guptadara Yoginyaha Sarva Sankshobhana Chakra. So it is because of our identity with this primordial Kama, and Kama is or Kama results in Shobhanam. Shobhanam means perturbance. Okay, it moves or it makes people, okay, to desire, to want, and this desire will lead to action. Non-fulfillment of that will result in anger. Anger will result in further confusion or loss of memory. This beautifully Bhagavan gives in Bhagavad Gita this step of downfall. We call it as the steps leading to downfall. Okay. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Upajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodha Abhijayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha Sammohat Smriti Vibhramaha Smriti Vibhramshat Buddhinashaha Buddhinashat Pranashyati. Dhyayato Vishayan. When a man or a person is constantly thinking about a particular object, Sangaha Teshu Upajayate. A kind of an attachment is born towards it. Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha. When that attachment is born, slowly that attachment solidifies and results in a desire to possess. Kamat Krodho Vijayate. When that desire is not fulfilled, so unsuccessful desire results in anger. Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha. This Krodha will result in Sammoha. Sammoha means a kind of a delusion or a confused state. He is not able to decide, he is not able to use his buddhi. Okay. Then that will Smriti Bhramsha. That will lead to Smriti Bhramsha. He will forget all the Shastras, everything that he has studied, all the good advices that has come to him over the period of years in that moment. Smriti Bhramshat Buddhi Nashaha. So when there is a Smriti Bhramsha, what happens is Buddhi Nasha. Karya Akarya Viveka. He loses the discretion of what should be done and what should not be done. That is Buddhi. And because of that, most of the time, we end up doing the wrong thing. So Buddhi Nasha Pranashyati. That leads to his Nasha. Nasha here means this something that will hurt him in a short or a longer term. So these are beautiful steps of the downfall of a man. So all that is because of that first sense of Kshobana, that disturbance. Okay, and that is caused by the primordial Gaama. So Ananga. All these Devatas are therefore seated in the chakra by name Sarva Sankshobhana Chakra. So by the Anugraha, we will be able to overcome this primordial desires, and therefore we can avoid the natural downfall that any person generally faces because of not following through the proper Shastric precepts. All right. Samudraha Ityadi Purvavat. So the other section of the Samashti mantra as described in the first sutra. Atmasanam Ucharya. We have already seen Chaturasana mantras during the Nyasa. Okay, while Bhagavan was listing the 4 Nyasa mantras, the Chatura Asana mantras. Okay, so Atmasana mantra is Hreem, Kleem, Saudhu. Okay, so Atmasana mantram Ucharya. Tripura Sundarim Ishtva. Tripura Sundari is the name of the Chakreshwari of the Tritiya Avarana. Tripura Sundarim Ishtva. Kleem iti Sarva Akarshinee Mudram Pradarshayet. And the mudra for this particular devata is Sarva-Akarshinee Mudra. The bija for this Sarva-Akarshinee Mudra is Kleem. So, by uttering the bija, one has to show the mudra to the devata. Kleem iti Sarva-Akarshinee Mudram Pradarshayet. Chaturthavarna or Turiyavarna. Bhuvanare. Sankshobhini Dravinyakarshinyahladini Sammohini Stambhini Jirumbhini Vashankari Ranjani Unmadini Arthasadhani Sampatti Purani Mantramayi Dvandakshayankari Sarvadihi Avamrishya Etaha. So Dvandakshayankari Sarva Adihi Avamrishya Etaha Sampradaya Yoginyaha Sarva Saubhagyadayake Chakre Samudraha Ityadi Mantraseshaha Chakrasanam Ucharya Tripuravasinim Chakreshwarim Ishtva Bloom iti Sarva Vashankari Mudram Uthataye. So Sarva Adihi, the Tritiya, then the Turiya Avarana or the 4th Avarana, all the Devatas have the prefix Sarva. So the name of the word Sarva should be added before their names. Sarva Adihi. Okay. Now where are they seated? Bhuvanare. Bhuvana means worlds. Generally, in the Bhuta Sankhya, Bhuvana or Loka refers to the number 14. Because according to the Puranas and other legends, there are 14 worlds. Okay? There are 7 below earth and 6 above. So totally 17. Bhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, Mahaha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satyam. That is from the order of Bhu, one above the each. Then below the Bhu, we have Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Rasatala, Talatala, Mahatala, and Patala. 7 down. So 7 plus 1 plus 6, totally 14. So in the Bhuta Sankhya, when we say Loka or Bhuvana, it means 14. Bhuvanare means in the 14, okay, petal, no, not petal. Here triangles will start. Okay, so the set of the 14 triangles. Okay, Bhuvanare. Sankshobhini. So Sarva Sankshobhini. The name of the Devata will be Sarva Sankshobhini. Here positioning is very simple. Anti-clockwise, starting from the first triangle that faces the sadhaka. In an anti-clockwise, okay, all the Devatas are continuously seated. Sarva Sankshobhini, Sarva Dravini, Sarva Akarshinee, Sarva Ahladini, Sarva Sammohini, Sarva Stambhini, Sarva Jrimbhini, Sarva Vashankari, Sarva Ranjani, Sarva Unmadini, Sarva Artha Sadhini, Sarva Sampatti Purani, Sarva Mantramayi, Sarva Dvandva Kshayankarihi. These are the 14 Devatas of the Turiya Avarana. Now when we see these Devatas, Sankshobhini. So see, we are going from the Sthula deeper and deeper into the Sukshma aspect of our own self. So the primordial desire or the Kama, even more subtler than that, is that the Kama causes the Shobhana or the initial perturbance. That Dravanam is generally a term which is used for fluidity or viscosity. In the Tantric, it refers to movement. So Dravanam means movement. So Dravini, that which results in action, Kriya, Ichha, Kriya. Okay. Kriya is in the form of Akarshana, attracting or drawing things to oneself. And Akladini. Why do we do that? To get a sense of pleasure or happiness. Akladini. Sammohini. Sammohanam means in the process of the pleasure, we are generally forgetting that we don't need anything else for us to stay blissful, because our innate nature is Ananda. Okay. Ananda, Chit, Ananda, Ichha, Jnana, Kriya. These are our essential Shaktis. Okay. So Ananda is our own essential nature. We don't need anything. But because of the contraction or the Sankocha Bhava that we have had, we have forgotten our Shivatavastha. Okay. So we generally think that we need something to make us happy. This is the Sammohana, or the state of, let's say, confusion is a very strong word, but in a much subtler term, if you have to understand, that is what it is. Stambhini. Stambhanam means stopping. Okay, halting, stupefying something. It stops the when a person is in a state of delusion. It puts an end to the right thinking to happen there. That is what is Stambhana. Jrimbhana. Jrimbhana generally refers to that yawning. So what do we do when we yawn? We try to stretch out. Okay. So forgetting what we are trying to extend outside for pleasure. That is Jrimbhanam. Sarva Jrimbhini. Vashankari. How do we do it? By trying to attract other people's attention. Vashankari. Ranjani. By pleasing them. Okay. Unmadini. Or by confusing them. So, either by serving, we get pleasure. Okay. By pleasing, we get pleasure. Or by lying, we can get pleasure for ourselves. So these are the three modes. Sarva Unmadini and Sarva Artha Sadhini. Therefore, we try to attain all that we want to have for ourselves. Sarva Artha Sadhini. And this happens through Sampatti Purani. Sampatti. Sampatti is not always wealth. Any form of object or prosperity, okay, that we possess is Sampatti. So by this we attain the objects that we desire for ourselves. Sampatti Purani. Mantramayi. And for this, what do we use? We use the Mantrana Shakti. Mantranam means the capacity to protect ourselves. Okay, is what is Mantranam? Good counsel is something that protects our position, our state of existence. So, Mantramayi, Dvandva Kshayankari, all this is happening because we still consider ourselves not one with our Shivavastha. We are still thinking that we are separate or different from Parashiva. We are having lesser power, lesser knowledge, lesser objects for pleasure, etc. And we are bound by time, we are bound by rules. These are the Pancha or Shat Kanchukas that we speak about. This is resulting in the state of ourselves recognizing, okay, not with Parashiva, but with as something else. This is Dvandva Bhava. So this Dvandva Bhava is taken care of by Dvandva Kshaya. See, remember, all these Devatas are there to address the problems that we are facing in the form of the, right from Sankshobhini, Dravana and all those things. Okay, so Dvandva Kshayankari ensures that we are free from this Pashuta Bhava, this duality, sense of duality. Sarvadihi avamrishya. Therefore, etaha sampradaya yogini. This, okay, taking care of our sense of Pashuta through the mantra, and by which we are able to get rid of the sense of having pleasure through various means, and the activities that we indulge to get the pleasure for ourselves. All this comes to us because of a good Upadesha. Okay, and that Upadesha, okay, comes in Sampradaya. Therefore, these Devatas are called, only when we stick to a Sat Sampradaya, a noble tradition, we will be able to lead positively by the teachings which have been passed down. This is what is called as Samaya. Like the previous class also we saw. Samaya means Sampradaya. Okay, so a lot of stress will be laid again and again and again on two things. One is Sampradaya and our Vishwasa. Sampradaya Vishwasa Abhyam Sarvada Siddhi. That is one of the Tripura Siddhantas. So this Sampradaya is very, very important. So Sampradaya Yoginiha, that is the collective name of the Yogi. Sampradaya Yoginiha. Sarva Saubhagyadayake Shakti. So once we are in the right Sampradaya, it ensures automatically that we are ensured to get all the bhagya, all the noble things or all the right things come to us. Okay. Ityadi mantra seshaha. Samudraha ityadi mantra seshaha. Okay. Then the samashti mantras we have to complete. Chakrasanam ucharya. Again, let's go back to Nyasa. Chakrasana is I am a kleem. So Chakrasanam ucharya. Tripuravasinim Chakreshwarim Ishtva. Name of the Chakreshwari for the Turiya Avarana or the fourth Avarana is Tripuravasini. Tripuravasinim Chakreshwarim Ishtva. Bloom iti Sarva Vashankari Mudram Udghataye. The name of the mudra for the Turiya Avarana is Sarva Vashankari Mudra, and the Bijakshara for that is Bloom. So Bloom iti Sarva Vashankari Mudram Udghataye. See, basically there are 8 asana mantras. In our Nyasa, we have or we follow the Sarva Chakrasana, Sarva Mantrasana, Sadhya Siddhasana. Okay, sorry, Devya Atmasana, Sarva Chakrasana, Sarva Mantrasana, and Sadhya Siddhasana. There are 4 more asana mantras. Okay, they are called as Sudharnavasana, Otambujasana, Sitambujasana, Paryanka Pithasana, and Mahaprayata Padmasana. So there are these Bijaksharas are referring to these different asana mantras. Of that, 4 mantras we use in our day-to-day nyasa. There is another elaborate nyasa where all the 8 bijas are also placed, or the nyasa for all the 8 bijas is also done. Okay, so when Bhagavan is referring to Atmasana mantram, Chakrasana mantram, he is doing it in a cryptic manner. Okay, so that not everything is given explicitly to the Kalpa Sutra, and we learn it from our Gurumukha what these mantras are.